6th Street or online at sunbeltrentals.com. At Farm Bureau Financial Services, we strive to provide you with the right coverages for all your insurance needs by taking the time to meet with you and review what coverages best fit your needs. So whether you're in the market for home, auto, farm, business, life, or a combination of any of these coverages, we can help with making sure you, your family, or your business have the right coverage based on your individual needs. If you would like to review your insurance needs, please contact Ben Spurt with Farm Bureau Financial Services at 402-217-9945 or through email at ben.spurt@fbfs.com.
Time for a new heating and cooling system? Get the options, brand, and efficiency that best fits your family and your home. Call Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
If you're a veteran, our nation has created a wide range of benefits to thank you for your service, but it can be difficult to navigate the process of determining eligibility, filing claims, appealing decisions, and securing the benefits you've earned. Speak to your County Veteran Service Officer or the Nebraska Department of Veterans Affairs State Service Office to see what's available to you and your family. These services are 100% free, so visit veterans.nebraska.gov today. Sponsored by the Nebraska Department of Veterans Affairs, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
This is the Adam Carriker Show.
Position right of the quarterback, out of the shotgun, 1st and 20. Jailbreak screen in the air. It is tipped. It is intercepted by Carriker at the Missouri 21-yard line.
Live from the heart of Lincoln, America, 8-year NFL vet and All-American defensive lineman Adam Carriker.
Shotgun snap to Everidge. He's got the left arm going, and now he's got a whole lot of Adam Carriker who rips him down inside the 25-yard line.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here is your host, Adam Carriker.
Welcome, everybody, into the Adam Carriker Show. I decided to show up to work today. That and we didn't have a fire alarm between 12 and 1 p.m., but that's okay. All right, this is the show that brings you unique insights, unbridled honesty, and producer Jake and I have a whole lot of fun in the process. Ladies and gentlemen, just how important is this Rutgers game? There's some nut out there who put out a show on the internet earlier this week talking about they're the two most important games of the week. Who's that insane individual? It was me. It was Jake, actually, but no, it was me. Just how important is this Rutgers game? That's what we're going to talk about. And I remember sitting with DP, right? We do our pregame show, the A1 Automotive pregame show. By the way, shout out to Kendall, the family, and the whole business. Hey, no shout outs for free. That was for free because he's a good friend of mine. But DP and I are sitting there at the Kindler Hotel. My gosh, I'm just giving free shout outs all day. All right. But my point is this. We're sitting there, we're talking before the Illinois game. And DP asked me how important I think the Illinois game is. Like, what happens if Nebraska loses? And I'm like, oh, man, it would suck, but I think we could bounce back. And DP looks at me and he goes, I actually think it'll be as bad as if we'd have lost to Colorado. And I disagreed with him at the time. And I still think, despite Colorado being a non-conference game and all that, and Illinois being a conference game, everything else, I still stand by my statement. Obviously, DP is entitled to his opinion as well. That Colorado game was looked forward to for so many months. The entire offseason. The little brother that won't shut up that we've lost 2-3 times in a row. The team that wasn't that great, although they're a lot better than they were a year ago. We don't know how good they are just yet, but they went down to UCF as a 2-touchdown underdog and won by 20-plus points. UCF was the number 1 rush team in the country. And they went out and actually played defense. And then Colorado actually ran the ball. They did this thing where they, instead of running 10 personnel all day and just putting Shadur on an island, blaming the O-line because they suck at pass blocking. Well, it's actually, you're leaving them on an island. They're not very good to begin with. Bad coaching. They went to 11 personnel, spread out the defense, actually ran the ball a little bit and offered a little protection, just a smidge for the offensive line. Don't worry, this show's not about Colorado. My point is, they are much better than they were last year. Look what we did to them. It's what we're capable of. It's what I've talked about all week, pretty much all season. The ceiling for this team is 9 wins. The floor is 6 wins. It's one of the most unpredictable teams in America right now. It's half the fun. It's half the misery. And you got to embrace it all. I'm here for all of it. All right, Husker football. This is what being a Husker fan is like. I don't always like it, but I sure always love it. How important this Rutgers game. When I said earlier this week, all right, that I believed the Rutgers and Indiana game are the two most important games of the year. That's at this point. I still believe up to this point it was Colorado. Man, had we beaten Illinois, oh, the vibe would be so different. We'd have national media coming out the yin-yang. Oh, let's talk about Nebraska. Now all of a sudden they're nowhere to be found, but that's okay. win a few more games. They'll want to knock on our doors again. And I hope you find folks will realize the people who are here each and every day. Much love to the national media. And I've been fortunate enough to have a few of them on my show as well. They've been very kind and gracious. But just recognize the folks who are here each and every day through thick and thin, rain or shine. All right. The folks at 93.7 The Ticket. Check out all things The Ticket at theticketfm.com. If you do want to go back and check out that show I referenced earlier on the Carriker Chronicles, you can check that out at carrikerchronicles.com. Also on YouTube, look up Carriker Chronicles. But to be clear, Rutgers, Indiana, in my opinion, they are important because we have to go into the bye week at least after 7 games, at least 5-2. You heard 7-0, 77-0, all this and that. I've said 6-1 since March. That was my prediction. If we go in 6-1, we're sitting pretty freaking awesome. 5-2 would be fine. We can't be worse than 5-2. And these are two teams that are combined 9-0 right now. They've also played a combined nobody. No disrespect to Maryland and Washington and UCLA. Okay, but they aren't the best teams in the world. Those are the teams that Rutgers and Indiana have played off the top of my head that are their best opponents so far. They are all a combined 1 game under 500, just FYI for everybody listening. Although Will Rogers, the Mississippi State transfer who went up to Washington, is slinging that ball around. He's playing well. He's the one guy. Washington, national championship game last year, legit the second best team in the country, lost 20 of 22 starters. That's a lot. A head coach, an AD, everything else. Will Rogers coming in makes them a halfway decent team that'll probably make a bowl game in one of the 2 toughest conferences in America. So, all due respect to all the teams that I just mentioned that are 1 game combined under 500, which is Indiana and Rutgers combined opponents that are, name recognizable anyways, up to this point, I believe the Rutgers game, and we're going to hone in on that a little bit. I want to get Jake's take on this a little bit as well. It's important for a couple of reasons. Rutgers and Indiana, because the last 5 games, they're not going to be easy. We all know that. We're going to be dogs versus Ohio State, dogs versus USC. I think right now, we're a slight favorite over Iowa, a dog to Wisconsin. If you project out and you look out at some of the projections for our games, the last 5 games of the year. So we're slightly favored over Iowa, dogs currently as we sit right now, and it'll probably change between now and then. Dogs to Wisconsin, dogs to USC. By the way, I mean underdogs if you're confused. And Ohio State, and we are favored over UCLA. So 3 of those games we'd be underdogs, 2 games we'd be favored. So we have to go into the bye week at least 5-2. 4-3. I mean, you look at those first 7 games and you're like, 4-3 at the end of it, not going to cut it. It also means we lose these next 2 games. So for me, it's about momentum. It's about building confidence. Let's be honest. There's a little bit of a fragile base out there right now. Okay, there's can we beat a ranked team? Can we win a close game? Can we win a 1-score game? What can we do? We know what this team is capable of. You can see the athleticism. You can see the ability. You could see it just take off the last quarter and a half versus Purdue, and then you could also see the first quarter, 6 straight drives into their side of the field, and it was 0-0 at halftime. It's the unpredictability, the volatility that is associated with trying to figure out what in the heck this Husker football team is. And hopefully they're just getting better and better each week. I feel like the defense bounced back last game. I feel like the defense looked better. The offense is clearly throwing the ball much better this year than a year ago. Special teams, not special. Just going to leave it at that for now. When you look at Rutgers specifically, it's intriguing to me because they are a team that was in the Big East for a long time. Then they weren't even in the Big East. They went to the MAC. They were so bad for a while. Then they went back to the Big East, and the Big East doesn't exist anymore. I believe they were in the ACC for a minute. I could be wrong on that. Jake, can you double check that?
The American, AAC. Yeah.
The AAC for a minute. All right. And then they've been in the Big Ten for a long time. Not because they're decent, but when they entered, they were not good. It's because them and Maryland came in because of the Washington, D.C. market, the DMV market, Washington, D.C., Maryland, Virginia, which is what Maryland brings in, and then the New York market, which is what Rutgers brings in, Piscataway, New Jersey. So when you look at them, they are probably better now than most people would have anticipated. Greg Schiano has a lot to do with that. But when I think about Rutgers they've become your prototypical Big Ten team. They're physical. They're going to run the ball first. They're going to play defense. It's going to be some ugly games, and they're going to try to get it to the fourth quarter, make it one score, and then they're just going to try to keep punching, body blows, and find a way to win. They're a prototypical Big Ten team. Can we beat a team like that that's well coached, that isn't going to beat themselves? They're first in the Big Ten when it comes to not giving the ball away, as in they've given the ball away the least amount of any team in the entire conference so far this year. I believe it's only 2 turnovers. They've handed 2 times they've given the ball away to the other teams so far this year. So I believe this game matters because going into the bye week, being 5-1 versus 4-2 feels a lot different. I believe it matters because you got to find a way to win these close, low-scoring, ugly games against physical teams. Now, if we blow them out, that'd be great too. If we win by 2 touchdowns or 3, hey, that'd be phenomenal. I got no problem with that. I'd be mildly surprised if that happens. Are we still a touchdown favorite? I was surprised when I saw that, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if we'd be favored, and then I saw 7. I was like, whoa. A lot of folks out there, including myself, who actually think Rutgers should be ranked. And if they beat us this weekend, they probably will be ranked. There's a lot of folks who think if we beat Rutgers, we'll be ranked next week. So, Jake, this is where I want to bring you in. In your opinion, how important is this Rutgers game? And I'm going to compare it to the Colorado game because that's the game everybody looked towards in the entire offseason. That was the momentum game. That's what I called it, the entire offseason. It really didn't mean a lot as far as the Big Ten and all that. You know, even Rule called it what the preseason, the non-conference games, the preseason, so to speak. No. That game was the momentum game. But how does this game, and I'm not saying this is like the national championship and the season is over if we lose. What I am saying is there's a lot of fragility out there with how people feel about Nebraska football. And if we lose this game, another game at home, probably by 1 score, if that happens, I have a feeling, and then Indiana becomes exponentially more important. It is absolutely the most important game of the season, not debatable at that point in time. By the way, I will say, when Wisconsin and Iowa roll around at the end, I'm probably going to say that about those 2 teams, those 2 games at the end of the year, but I don't know what that's going to look like right now. For right now, would you say Rutgers is less than, equal to, or greater than when it comes to the importance of us winning this game and finding a way to win? Don't give a crap how it looks or what the score is. 3-2, 62-60. Don't care. It's not going to be the basketball score. More likely to be 3-2. But would you say it's equal to, greater to, or less than as far as importance of winning the game when you compare it to the Colorado game?
I think a Colorado loss, like you said, just because of the how it's been stacking up. I mean, you'd lose your 2-game series with them in the latest iteration of it. I feel like there was just a lot of importance in that game, and I also think it like kind of national spotlight. Nebraska put on a show for it. I mean, so I don't know if it's not going to get the national attention the Colorado game get. I would say the Colorado game is probably still at an important level, but the Red might be more important. But the Rutgers game to me is if you can get this win, you still kind of looking down the schedule. You still need 1 more for bowl eligibility, but that's kind of the big monster that Nebraska has to battle before all this other stuff. If they do win, they'll be in the top 25. Then we're going to have people start talking about college football playoff again. And I get all that, but I've said from the beginning, and I've predicted that they would, do this, but it's going to be a dogfight to get to bowl eligibility. Mm-hmm. And this Rutgers team is part of that. They're going to put up a dogfight. So I think if you win this one at 5-1, you feel pretty comfortable. You can kind of move the bar. Okay. Mm-hmm. And I know we did that last year at 5 wins. There were 4 games left and you lost them all.
Stop moving the goalpost, Jake.
Right,
but go ahead.
But you can kind of start to project, okay, maybe we have something here. If you lose, then I think you get back into the category of, okay, well, now we've got, 3 ranked teams left, Wisconsin and Iowa, who we haven't beaten, and UCLA. And
Indiana, who looks pretty gosh dang good.
So, I mean, I think then you start to get kind of nervous about even bowl eligibility once again, and that's not a place we want to be again.
So I agree with you. I was hoping you would say something I could argue with. I can't because I agree with you. I'm not just going to argue for the sake of arguing. I agree with a lot of what you said. If on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the least important, 10 being the most important, as far as game importance of winning a game, the importance of winning a game, the national championship would be like a 10. Okay, if you ever make the national championship game, I would say that like a college football or a playoff game, probably a 9.5. All right. Maybe a conference championship game was a 9. All right. Winning the conference championship game, although those don't matter as much as they used to now with the 12-team college football playoff. So I would actually bump that down to an 8.5. This is going to sound stupid to people, and I don't care. I would say winning a conference championship because of the 12 teams that are allowed into the college football playoff, I would bump it to an 8.5. I would say Nebraska, Colorado was a 9 on the importance meter to us in Husker Nation. Is that an asinine statement, or does that make sense? It makes sense to me.
That's an asinine statement. Nebraska has not had a conference championship since 99.
Okay, we'll talk about it if we get there. I mean for teams in general. For teams in general. Okay, yeah. No, if we're in the conference championship game, it's a 10 out of 10. Yeah. I'm talking about teams in general compared to the importance of Nebraska beating Colorado to Nebraska fans. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, then it will depend on the conference championship. If Alabama and Georgia are playing in the conference
that's like a 7 because they're both getting
in. Then
that was my point. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
okay. So for me, I think the Colorado game was a 9. I think Rutgers is like maybe not the same as a conference championship, maybe like an 8. Because if we lose to Rutgers, here's what we still have. A bye week to get ready for Indiana. If we go beat Indiana and they're undefeated and ranked at that point in time, we're going to say, hey, we're 5-2. We just went on the road and we beat an undefeated ranked Indiana team. That's why I lumped the 2 games together when I talked about them earlier this week. I think the 2 games together are monumentally important. We absolutely have to win 1 out of 2. Now, it's much easier if we win Saturday versus Rutgers because we get 2 weeks to enjoy it, as opposed to if we lose that game, we get 2 weeks to dwell in it. But then if you beat Indiana on the road undefeated, they're ranked, hey, you're feeling great, but you got to live through the 2 weeks first. I will never forget 99. All right. Not a wonderful memory, but Nebraska was undefeated. They go down to Texas. They fumble the ball, lose 4 fumbles, lose the game. Okay. They played Texas later that year, spanked them, won 22-6, won the Big 12 championship. Should have played Florida State. A topic for another day. My point is, after that Texas game was a bye week. Everything that, like, whether I could get away with stuff growing up revolved around whether Nebraska won or lost. If Nebraska won, it was a good week in the Carriker house when I was growing up. My dad is the biggest Husker fan I've ever met in my life. So me wanting to play at Nebraska is due to him. Me playing at Nebraska is large in part due to him. My fandom and my loyalty and my pageantry and us living in Lincoln as a family is in large part due to my dad, because he was so enthralled every single Saturday with what was happening on that television for about 3.5 hours. He didn't even know what was happening next to him. When I told him when I was in high school I wanted to go play at Nebraska, he was surprised. Like he didn't even realize what was happening right next to him on the couch. But my point is, after that Texas game, there was a 2-week period. It was a dark period in the Carriker house. I tell you, I walked on eggshells on top of glass, on top of eggshells and glass for 2 weeks because I knew I couldn't get away with nothing. Now, the 2 weeks after the Rutgers game, win or lose, will not be quite like that. My dad's just a huge fan. It's not a knock, by the way. I love it now. At the time, I was like, oh, my God, please win. Plus, I wanted Nebraska to win in general, but my life got easier if Nebraska won. My point is simply this. If we lose to Rutgers and we beat Indiana, and Indiana's undefeated and ranked and on the road after a bye, people are going to feel okay about things. All right. If we beat Rutgers, lose to Indiana, I think people will still be okay with it. All right. But that's why I lumped the 2 games together. You go 2-0, you're feeling really good. And like you said, you'd be bowl eligible at that point. You go 1-1, okay. All right. That's fine. No problem. You go 0-2. We're sitting here at 4-3. So for me, that's kind of how I view it. I view Rutgers as just below Colorado as far as importance of winning. The 2 games combined right now are absolutely the most important 2 games on Nebraska's schedule as we sit here right now. And again, I reserve the right to change that, especially come the last 2 games of the year, Iowa, Wisconsin. Now, if we're 6-1 and we're ranked and Ohio State's coming in here undefeated, number 1, 2 in the country, I don't know, does game day come into Lincoln? People are going to be like, that's the most important game of the year. It'll be the most hyped and analyzed game of the year, even more so than Colorado. All right. But if we're 6-1 and you play Ohio State close and you lose by 2, if you win, it's obviously phenomenal. But if you lose by 2, people can live with that. All right. But we're sick and tired of losing by 2 to teams like Rutgers. I mean, I got a stat in front of me. Did you know this? Final thought in the Purdue game. All right. Nebraska winning last Saturday. We were tied 6-6 in the series with Purdue. Now we're ahead 7-6. Are you kidding? When I saw that, I'm like, no disrespect to Purdue, but you're the 3rd most well-known football team in your state. Notre Dame, South Bend, Indiana. All right, Indiana, the namesake university of the state of Indiana, obviously, Bloomington, and then Purdue. And we're 7-6. I'm tired of losing close games. With all due respect to Rutgers and Purdue and whoever else, I'm tired of being 500 with these teams and losing 2-point games to these teams. I'm sick and tired of it. If we find a way to win Saturday or versus Indiana, but if we find a way to win Saturday, we're going into the bye week 5-1. Husker Nation's going to be feeling pretty good about itself. That's how I feel. I don't think it's the end of the world if we lose, unless we lose to Indiana as well. And then we're in trouble. What do you think the odds of us going 2-0, 1-1, and 0-2 are, Jake? What are the percentages of each of those?
I'm a little bit more nervous for the Indiana game. Obviously, on the road,
I am
think
too.
That's a better team.
Yeah.
I think you're probably have a pretty good chance. I mean, I feel like you do pretty well for yourself if you do 1-1. So that's kind of where my eyes are. And if you get Rutgers, then you kind of change what you want there.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I think you're probably, I don't want to say this. I'll just say it this way. I think you're probably closer to going, it's tough. Because they're all toss-up games.
Just put percentages.
I was going to put it out
like
there.
2-0 is 30%. 0-2 is 30%. Whatever. What do you think? And I'll give mine.
I think 2-0 is probably, at this point, I'm just not ready to do that. My heart's been broken too many times. So I'll probably feel like 20% there. Probably, the 0-2 side of it, maybe around a 30% and then 50% 1-1. It's kind of what I'm expecting.
So I'm staying bullish. I have said Nebraska 8-4 since March. I didn't even do an updated prediction show coming into the season, which I've done every year for 10 years. This is the first time I haven't, because I had the same record prediction. I've said 6-1 after the first 7 games since March, and it hasn't changed. We could easily be 5-2. All right. Honestly, I felt like 5-2 was more likely than 7-0 in the offseason, in the preseason. It's obviously way more likely now, but that goes without saying because we have a loss right now. But I felt like that since March. I am sticking with my record prediction of 6-1. Now, I'm not even putting 50% chance on that, but there's 3 percentages I'm giving, and it's the highest percentage. I'm going to go 40% that we're 2-0. All right, I am going to go, I got to make sure this math adds up. I'm going to say 35% chance that we're 1-1 and 25% that we're 0-2. Oh, man, you know what? I'm going to change that because I feel like that's too high for 0-2. I really do. So I'm going to go 41%. I'm manipulating the numbers here to get to it, to get to an end goal, and that's okay. All right, 41% that we go 2-0, 39% that we're 1-1, and I'm going to go 20%. I'm going to bring it down a little bit that we're 0-2. I really feel like we have a decent chance to win both games. I really feel good about at least going 1-1. I mean, things would have to collapse to go 0-2, especially with a bye week in there. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, typically I would say that, but again, you've got to get out of this way. If you expect these games to be close,
we do.
Typically, it's close goes to the other team. And Rutgers has just won 2 games, and you could argue about quality of opponent, but Virginia Tech and Washington, those are pretty solid teams to win close games with. They've just won, their last 2 close games. So that's where it's like I'm not really all that scared that Nebraska's going to get blown out in either of these games. But if they're close, now you get me nervous. And how could I not be as a Husker fan?
You make valid points. I don't like them, but you make valid points. We're not going to get blown out by Rutgers. I do. I think it's going to be an ugly, low-scoring, one-score game. And I think Nebraska is finally going to find a way to win. I don't think they blow us out. There's more likely we'd blow them out than they'd blow us out. I don't think anybody's blowing anybody out. I think it's all within 1 score. Indiana makes me a little bit nervous because we could blow them out. They could blow us out. They have the potential to do it. They were top 5 in the country in scoring offense, scoring defense just a week ago. I have not looked this past week to see if that's been where that is or the updated stats, but I'm sticking with 6-1. I'm going to be bullish and foolish and go Big Red. All right, ladies and gentlemen, don't go anywhere. When we come back, it's one of the more unique guests I've ever had. He's a former walk-on defensive end, one of my former teammates. All right, he is the man who was in the Air Force for 11 years. He's flown F-16s. He's one of the individuals who's done a flyover of Memorial Stadium. He did it September 11th, 2021. He was one of the pilots that did one of the flyovers. His brother just did a flyover leading up to the Illinois game a couple 3 weeks ago. Mr. Tony Sullivan. He also made me throw up one time. But we're not going to talk about that too much. But we're going to have a whole lot of fun when Mr. Tony Sullivan joins us right after this break.
Mulberry Barbecue by Single Barrel is the answer to all your lunch and dinner cravings. They have everything from smoked turkey sandwiches to brisket burritos to burnt-in sandwiches and pulled pork. Try a dinner plate option of barbecue nachos, a half-smoked chicken, a full slab of ribs, and so much more. Don't forget their great sides like mac and cheese, cheesy potatoes, barbecue beans, or red slaw. Mulberry Barbecue by Single Barrel, open Monday to Saturday from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. at 11th and Cornhusker Highway.
The McKinney's Irish Pub in the Haymarket is your place for English Premier League soccer. Liverpool and Crystal Palace starts off the Saturday action at 6:30 a.m., followed by Man City facing off against Fulham at 9 a.m. To cap off the Saturday action, Newcastle will play Everton at 11:30 a.m. On Sunday, Chelsea plays Nottingham Forest at 8 a.m., followed by Brighton playing Tottenham at 10:30 a.m. You can catch all these matches and more at the McKinney's Irish Pub, your headquarters in Lincoln for English Premier League soccer at 8th and P.
When you were a kid, clubs were cool. Robotics club and space club and stuff like that. But what do adults get? Book clubs and quilting clubs? Nah, forget that. How about margarita clubs and old-fashioned clubs? Get to Upside Bar and Lounge for the best clubs in town. Try all 10 varieties of Upside margaritas or old fashions and take home a free souvenir glass. Grab the whole crew and pair it with taco night on Mondays or whiskey Wednesdays. Upside Bar and Lounge at 29th and Pine Lake.
Are you looking for affordable drinks and a great atmosphere this football season? Highball Bar has you covered. Whether it's pregame tailgating, postgame festivities, or in-game celebrations, Highball Bar is the place to be. With $4 beers, $4 mixed drinks, and more during their 4 to 8 p.m. daily happy hour, Highball Bar will quickly become your go-to place to sit back, unwind, and be your team's #1 fan. Highball Bar, located in downtown Lincoln, just 3 blocks from Memorial Stadium at 122 North 11th Street.
Hi, I'm State Senator Bo Ballard. I was born and raised right here in Lancaster County. I understand the value of hard work by being involved in our family business. I built my own company, creating jobs right here in our community. Nebraska families and business owners need lower taxes, more affordable health care, and a great education system. That is why I fought for the largest tax cut in Nebraska history, reduce the cost of health care, and help pass the biggest investment in our public schools. I'm Senator Bo Ballard, and I humbly ask for your vote on November 5th, paid for by Ballard for Nebraska.
Ever wish you had another light switch on the other side of the room on a dark night? How much better would you sleep at night if you had a ceiling fan in your room? The High Electric Service Department is here to make your electrical what-ifs a reality. Whether you're looking to replace some outdated light fixtures or brighten up your counters with under-cabinet lighting, High Electric can handle all types of residential electrical installations and services. Give Erica a call at 402-466-6606 or visit high-electric.com to get started.
Hi, this is Jay Foreman. Join me, Old School, live from Cornhusker Bank at 83rd and O Street this Friday for their Customer Appreciation Tailgate Party from 4 to 6 p.m. Larry the Cable Guy will join us during the show, and there's free food and refreshments. That is this Friday from 4 to 6 at Cornhusker Bank, 83rd and O Street.
Ryan, with all this red and all these people around, I'm still not seeing the tailgate.
Todd Spidell, former body shop owner, terrible driver.
We're getting close. Now, did you know with 3 locations in Lincoln and hundreds of years of combined technician experience, we can get Husker fans back on the road even quicker and safer after their tailgate mishaps. Oh, Todd, turn left right here.
Left or right?
Left, right here.
Right?
Well, you wait for the tow truck. I'm getting a hot dog.
Well, I guess while I'm waiting. All right! Most recommended! Eustace Body Shop!
Woohoo! Dude, you should be on American Idol.
You really think so?
No.
Accidents happen, even to Husker fans. If it happens to you, call Eustace Body Shop, where our customers send their friends.
The most recommended Eustace Body Shop. That's who we are.
Question for you. Would you rather pay $150 a month or $15 a month to work out with the same high-quality gym equipment? At Planet Fitness, you can get top-tier equipment for $15 a month. Plus, save $28 or more when you join now during our Strong Choice sale. Our weights weigh the same, you just don't pay the same. Enjoy free fitness training and 24-hour access at most clubs, all in the judgment-free zone. Join Planet Fitness today and save $28 or more when you join for $1 down, $15 a month, cancel anytime. Deal ends October 10th. See club for details.
General Fire and Safety has been keeping Lincoln businesses and commercial structures safe for more than 50 years. From a simple fire extinguisher to full fire suppression systems, Lincoln has trusted General Fire and Safety to provide top-of-the-line products, installation, and maintenance. If you're starting a new business in a brand new building, call on General Fire and Safety to help you plan a fire safety system that fits the specific needs of your business, employees, and customers. Call General Fire and Safety today at 402-261-0116.
Our Nebraska public school teachers make a difference in our communities. I'm Tim Royers, president of the Nebraska State Education Association. I see it every day, teachers connecting on a personal level with students and parents to support learning and growth. Our kids do better, community pride grows, Nebraska thrives. Our public schools rank in the top 10 nationally year after year. Strong public schools create strong communities.
Sponsored by the Nebraska State Education Association, aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
Your Lincoln forecast for today, we'll see lots of sunshine with a light breeze. An afternoon high around 79. Tonight, mostly clear skies with an overnight low around 58. And tomorrow, we'll see mostly sunny skies and it will be breezy and hot with a high around 95. I'm meteorologist Kyle Carriker for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
At Farm Bureau Financial Services, we strive to provide you with the right coverages for all your insurance needs by taking the time to meet with you and review what coverages best fit your needs. So whether you're in the market for home, auto, farm, business, life, or a combination of any of these coverages, we can help with making sure you, your family, or your business have the right coverage based on your individual needs. If you would like to review your insurance needs, please contact Ben Spurt with Farm Bureau Financial Services at 402-217-9945 or through email at ben.spurt@fbfs.com.
This is the Adam Carriker Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Adam Carriker Show here on 93.7 The Ticket. Producer Jake and I will give you unique insights, unbridled honesty. We'll have a whole lot of fun in the process. And I have randomly texted our upcoming guest, meaning to text other people 5 different times. I'm sorry, Tony. I'm about to bring Tony on. But like 5 different times while I'm meaning to text my son, my wife, and actually notes for myself for this particular interview. But anyways, I'm going to bring on one of the more unique guests that I've ever had. He's a former teammate of mine, a walk-on defensive end, a Nebraska boy at heart, former Husker. He's also flown F-16s within the Air Force for 11 years. He did the flyover, as I mentioned, the 20-year anniversary of the 2001 September 11th game. He did it on September 11th. 2021 flyover of Memorial Stadium. His brother just did it a couple of weeks ago before leading into the Illinois game as well. He has been deployed to all sorts of places. All right, South Korea, Afghanistan, Poland as well. Lots of different places, lots of unique insights, flown F-16s. Mr. Tony Sullivan, how you doing, my friend?
Hey, Adam, I'm great. Thanks for having me on the show.
Dude, I appreciate you joining me. All right, dude, so I got like so many questions to ask you, but let's start with, when you're up there in an F-16, what is it like? Like, what's it like going that fast, controlling something that is that powerful, and frankly, just that cool? Like, what is that experience like, and what's the training process to learn how to fly something like that as well?
Well, it's an amazing experience. So, like you said, it's powerful. You have all these capabilities at your fingertip. The thing is fly-by-wire, so it kind of flies like a video game, except it can shoot real missiles and drop real bombs and shoot real bullets. So when you're
no big deal.
Well, when you're doing it though, it's kind of hard to take a moment and be in the moment. You've trained to do it so much that you want it to just be kind of second nature, and it kind of becomes that. But every now and then you get a couple seconds to just stop and appreciate that you're flying a supersonic jet fighter. And those moments are really cool. You just kind of look around. You might be at like 40,000 feet going Mach whatever, and you just go, this is pretty cool.
So what is the training process for that? Like how long is the training process for some? Are we watching Top Gun here? Is Top Gun a bunch of like full of a bunch of crap?
No.
Is it realistic?
No, it's not. It's not like Top Gun. Now the Air Force does have a fighter weapons school, which is like Top Gun, but that's later on. At the beginning, it's like you're a freshman on the football team. It's like you don't know anything. We're going to make you into what you need to be. So it's a year-long pilot training program just to become a pilot in the Air Force, and then to fly the F-16, you go and do 9 months of learning to fly the F-16, and in between those two programs is Introduction to Fighter Fundamentals, where you fly the supersonic jet trainer to kind of get you up to speed on flying fighter-style tactics. And when you really get into the F-16 training, that 9-month program, that's when it really gets real. And you're like, wow, I'm really going to go fly this thing. And your first 3 flights are in a 2-seat trainer model, but the rest of the F-16s are single seats. So single seat. So you on your 4th flight, you're the only person in the jet. So it's just you taking off in full afterburner, and that's when you realize like you really better know your stuff because it's all on you. There's an instructor in another jet kind of following you around, but if something goes wrong, you have to know your stuff.
So Mach, how many different Machs are there? Forgive me for not knowing, and what are the speeds of each of the Machs?
Well, so Mach is just the speed of sound is Mach 1. So the F-16 can go up to like Mach 2.05. So about Mach 2, which is, it depends on your altitude, like how many miles per hour that is. But it's really fast at any altitude.
I mean, we're talking like 800 miles an hour. I mean, do you have a estimation?
Yeah. If you're down low and you're going 800 miles an hour, you're definitely going way above the speed of sound. We would typically do low levels at 550, 600 miles an hour, which was below the speed of sound. But if you're flying around if you're flying that fast down low, you don't want to be breaking the Mach, as we call it, because then you're going to start blowing out windows and stuff like that. And if you're doing that over the U.S., it's not good.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a good idea. Do that somewhere else. So if I ever need to make an immediate like 20-minute stop from Lincoln to Miami, you're the guy I call. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we could maybe borrow one of the 2-seat trainer versions. Throwing them back, honestly, you're probably too big to fit in that thing.
I don't know. I don't know if I'll fit.
Yeah. It was a tight fit for me. I mean, I'm 6'3", and I was pushing the upper limits of fitting in that thing. But yeah, if you wanted to go somewhere fast, the F-16 is the thing to be in.
So you were in the Air Force for 11 years. All right, you were deployed to South Korea, Afghanistan, Poland. So what was it like being in the Air Force and being deployed to all these different places? What are some of the unique experiences that you've had?
Yeah, I mean, being in the Air Force was great. It was an honor, just like it was an honor being on the Husker football team. You know, you know that you're a part of something bigger, and you gotta go out there and show people kind of what you've trained and just do something for your country. It was a great experience. So going to South Korea was a lot of fun. Afghanistan was very serious. We trained really hard for that. Went in 2018. So we were there, you know, helping guys on the ground. You know, we had Marines and Army guys on the ground, and it was very serious business. But it was also really cool. Just like being on a football team, you're there with your bros. I was there with my literal bro. So my little brother is still in the Air Force, and we flew into Afghanistan with him on my wing flying over Bagram Air Base. So that was a really cool moment to look out my right side and see my little brother on my wing as we're flying into combat.
All right. So I'm going to ask, I don't know, you can answer this however you want, because I don't know what you can or can't say. So if you can't say anything, just let me know. Were you ever in a confrontational situation with an adversary from another country?
Yes, but, you know, flying in Afghanistan, it was just against enemies on the ground. So they didn't really have an air-to-air fleet to speak of. We would train to fight, you know, peer adversaries all the time. So we would in training, I was in the South Dakota Air National Guard for the majority of my time, and the Iowa Air National Guard for a little bit. But we would train to fight against, you know, these Chinese and Russian style fighters. And when I did a deployment, it was more of a training trip to Poland, we got to fight MiG-29s. So that is a Russian-built air-to-air aircraft, which was really cool to do some dogfighting against them.
All right, man. So now you're fighting for a national airline and you're flying all over the place, in and out of the country. So obviously it's a little bit different job description now. I got to ask, what's harder, flying an F-16, being in the Air Force, or dealing with passengers on a gigantic passenger flight? What's the more challenging job here?
Yeah, the F-16 for sure was way more challenging. I mean, that thing could do a lot of things. You were constantly, working the radar and the targeting pod. You're just kind of juggling 3 things at once all the time. The airlines, it's so laid back. I'm just sitting there having my coffee. It's relaxing. It's like a walk in the park, which is the way it should be. The customers don't want anything exciting going on. We do train in simulators every year for emergencies. The FAA has us go through kind of these worst case scenario things. So we're ready in case something goes wrong, which I really think the Air Force helped prepare me for that, because the Air Force is throwing stuff at you all the time, especially in the F-16.
So I've always wondered this while I'm on flights. I don't particularly enjoy flights, but I've been on so many, I just had to get over it. It doesn't help, that I'm bigger than average, and I'm rarely comfortable in my seat either. And then every once in a while, somehow I'll randomly get sat next to the next biggest dude on the flight. And then there was one flight where I wasn't the biggest dude, and he ended up next to me, and that was awesome. But I've often wondered, all right, we take off, we land. Obviously, I figure most of that's manual. At least I hope it is. How much of it is just like kind of the co-pilot doing the work once we're at 10,000 feet and above?
Yeah, 10,000 feet.
I'm sorry,
above,
not co-pilot, autopilot. Sorry.
Yeah, 10,000 feet and above is typically autopilot. So guys can hand fly it above there, but typically we'll hand fly the takeoffs and landings. But my flights I'm doing to Europe are 9, 10, 11 hours, and you don't want to be hand flying that the whole time. So above 10,000 feet, we typically have it on autopilot for most of the time, and then we're just monitoring systems and doing communications. So you really want to have the autopilot on to kind of lessen the workload, especially if it's going to be 10, 11-hour flight.
All right, there are some people that amaze me. The plane can be basically doing a roller coaster ride with turbulence, and they're unfazed. They're like over there asleep, or they're reading their book. I'm not that way. I'm a big dude. I sweat a lot. And when I sweat, you can tell. And so I've been on flights where my son has literally looked at me and been like, are you okay? Like he's whispering, are you okay? And I'm like, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think that I'm okay. I really don't. Like there's sweat pouring off of me. And like I've gotten a lot better, but I've literally been on some roller coaster rides. So I'm just going to ask the questions that are in my head in these moments. How bad does the turbulence have to be for things to really go south in a passenger airliner?
Well, Adam, most of the time that's just us clicking off the autopilot and just rocking the conrols. Just to make
I
it
could see you
exciting
doing that. I could totally see you doing that.
No, I'm just kidding. No, oh my gosh, it would have. You should watch some YouTube videos. They stress test these wings to go through anything. So it's just the airplane's going to be fine no matter what we go through. And we have radar system on the plane that shows us where the thunderstorms are. So we'll steer around the bad stuff. There's clear air turbulence, but clear air turbulence isn't, even though it might feel rough in back, like the planes are super safe. Everything's going to be fine.
All right, I feel slightly better. I saw you lie to a few college girls to get to, there was a means to an end, so I don't know how much I trust that statement, but I'm going to take you at your word here.
I don't know about that.
Hey, most of the things said on this show are true, most of them, anyways.
Yeah,
all right,
for sure.
I do want to ask, the day you got to do the flyover Memorial Stadium, what was that like, and how special was that to you?
Well, that was amazing. So to be a walk-on the football team and having played football there, and then to go join the Air Force and years later get to come back and do a flyover. And it was on the 20th anniversary of 9/11 nonetheless. So it was just a surreal experience to get a fly over that stadium, see it full of people, the sea of red, and just get to come down on the field and get introduced in front of everybody. That was a dream come true and really cool. Something I'll always remember. So that was an awesome experience.
I believe I'm correct when I say this, but correct me if I'm wrong. You were on the team 03 to 07, is that correct?
Yep.
Okay, so you were a year younger than me. I was 02 to 06. I redshirted in 02. Do you have any, unique memories, something that sticks out to you, a funny story from during your time on the team that kind of sticks out to you? You'd be cool with sharing with the fine folks at home.
Well, I just remember my first impressions when I walked on to the team, and just maybe this will help paint it in people's minds what it's like being on the football team. Do you ever play Super Mario Brothers when you were little, and there was the one level where it was like the big world and everything was gigantic?
Yep.
That's what it felt like walking onto the team. I was like, everyone is like 3 sizes too big. Everyone is just gigantic over here. Because I came from a small town in Wahoo, Nebraska, and we were good. I mean, we won state championship my senior year, but man, it was a whole nother level being in Nebraska. So that's just what I remember that stuck out the most. And then I know you mentioned we'd go like tubing on a lake nearby, and this lake was kind of notoriously shallow, but it just kind of needed to be dredged. You could still swim around in it. And I remember you fell off the tube and you were just walking around the lake like your waist was at the water line where everyone else was swimming. And I was like, man, so I think you were one of those gigantic people.
So here's the funny story about that day. So that was actually my first time ever tubing. I don't know if you knew that.
Nice.
I'd never been tubing. Yeah, never been tubing growing up. There was the Columbia River ran right by where I lived. I don't know if a river is the best place to tube. Lake's probably a little bit better, but I'd never been tubing. Yeah. So my first experience was tubing with you, and I'm pretty sure you definitely were trying to flip me off every chance you got. I mean, off the tube, not the middle finger flip off. You took me for a few rides that were I felt like I was in an F-16, but I think I also swallowed a little bit more lake water than I anticipated because I come back to the training center and I'm going to eat and I'm going to go lift after we're done. And I'm sitting there and I can't eat. And I'm like, what is going on? Like my stomach is just like bloated. And all of a sudden, I got to go to the bathroom. And let's just say I cleaned up the insides of my body after that. I think I inhaled or drank, way more lake water than I had anticipated. So anyways, that was my first tubing experience, thanks to Tony Sullivan there. But Tony was a great teammate. We were on the team together for 4 years. He was a defensive end. Obviously, I was too. So Tony and I spent a lot of time together. And it was good to catch up with you, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just want to say, like, you were a great example on the team of what it meant to be a Husker football player, and you're a great leader. So I really enjoyed playing with you, man. So great catching up.
I appreciate it. And we always try to bring on highly intelligent guests on this show, Jake, per example, Tony. So, all right, man, I appreciate you taking
surprised I made the cut then.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you taking the time. And don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back.
Stop by our 93.7 The Ticket Studios this Saturday, October 5th, to get your pregame grub on with the help from Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul. Charles and his team will be set up on the sidewalk with ribs, brisket sandwiches, pulled pork, pulled chicken, mac and cheese, baked beans, and potato salad, all available for purchase. Make pregame plans to stop by our 93.7 The Ticket Studio to get filled up on Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul this Saturday, October 5th, before cheering on the Huskers.
Are you looking for affordable drinks and a great atmosphere this football season? Highball Bar has you covered. Whether it's pregame tailgating, postgame festivities, or in-game celebrations, Highball Bar is the place to be. With $4 beers, $4 mixed drinks, and more during their 4 to 8 p.m. daily happy hour, Highball Bar will quickly become your go-to place to sit back, unwind, and be your team's #1 fan. Highball Bar, located in downtown Lincoln, just 3 blocks from Memorial Stadium at 122 North 11th Street.
When you were a kid, clubs were cool. Robotics club and space club and stuff like that. But what do adults get? Book clubs and quilting clubs? Nah, forget that. How about margarita clubs and old-fashioned clubs? Get to Upside Bar and Lounge for the best clubs in town. Try all 10 varieties of Upside margaritas or old fashions and take home a free souvenir glass. Grab the whole crew and pair it with taco night on Mondays or whiskey Wednesdays. Upside Bar and Lounge at 29th and Pine Lake.
If you're in Seward or Milford, listen up. Select Plumbing is now servicing your area with no trip charges from Lincoln. Select Plumbing works on a variety of issues for your home and business, including general plumbing, water heaters, faucet and fixture repair, underground sewer and water repairs, backflow testing, and more. Keep your property free from leaks and other issues. Call today for a free estimate, 402-560-6197. It's not just Lincoln, Waverly, and the surrounding area anymore. It's also Seward and Milford with no trip charges. Contact Select Plumbing to inquire at 402-560-6197.
Hi, this is Jay Foreman. Join me, Old School, live from Cornhusker Bank at 83rd and O Street this Friday for their Customer Appreciation Tailgate Party from 4 to 6 p.m. Larry the Cable Guy will join us during the show, and there's free food and refreshments. That is this Friday from 4 to 6 at Cornhusker Bank, 83rd and O Street.
Are you worried about storm damage causing issues with your basement? F Foundation Repair fixes basements with supreme waterproofing and exact concrete leveling for residential or commercial clients. They service wet basements, leaky walls, damp crawl spaces, bowing or cracked bricks or drywall, and more. Whether you're in Southeast Nebraska, the Tri-Cities area, or Northeast Kansas, they'll easily make the trip to you. Get a free evaluation today by visiting WeFixBasements.com or call 402-804-1024. F Foundation Repair. We fix basements.
It happens. All of a sudden, you need a plumber. Just call Bryant, 467-1111. Problem solved with Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Our Nebraska public school teachers make a difference in our communities. I'm Tim Royers, president of the Nebraska State Education Association. I see it every day. Teachers connecting on a personal level with students and parents to support learning and growth. Our kids do better, community pride grows, Nebraska thrives. Our public schools rank in the top 10 nationally year after year. Strong public schools create strong communities.
Sponsored by the Nebraska State Education Association, aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
You never think cancer will happen to you. I smoked for over 40 years. My doctor recommended that I get annual lung cancer screening. They were able to catch my cancer at stage 1. It's never too late to quit. Even if you're still smoking, you need to ask your doctor about annual lung cancer screening. Just 30 minutes a year could save your life.
Call the Nebraska Tobacco Quit Line, 1-800-QUIT-NOW, 1-800-784-8669. Paid for by Tobacco Free Nebraska. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. This is the Adam Carriker Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Boom! Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Adam Carriker Show. All right, the interview went long, but that's okay because that was pretty cool in my opinion. So the last segment, here's what I want to do. I want to look at the AP Top 10. Normally, I don't pay a whole lot of attention to the AP Top 10, if I'm being honest with you. With all due respect, everyone's entitled to their opinion, but I value certain opinions more than others. Okay, everyone's created equal. Everyone's opinion is not. That's just how I see it, all right? Some people may not value my opinion. That's okay. But I want to look at the AP Top 10 and see how we'd re-rank them. And it started with Josh Pate, who has a phenomenal college football show. No. Check it out on YouTube. But his top 10 is asinine. He doesn't call it rankings. He calls it ratings, okay? Because he has Georgia ahead of Alabama. Because what happens on the field doesn't matter, I guess. But he said his ratings, not rankings, ratings are based on if they played again, who'd be favored on a neutral field. So the AP, Alabama 1, Texas 2, Ohio State 3, Tennessee 4, Georgia 5, Oregon 6. I actually wouldn't change a single one of those. A lot of times I look at the AP poll and I change like 9 out of 10. I wouldn't change a single one of those. Penn State 7, Miami of Florida 8, Missouri 9, Michigan 10. I don't know that you can debate a lot of that except Michigan at 10. But Ole Miss just lost. Michigan beat USC, who's at 11. So as I look at their 10, 1 through 10, I honestly wouldn't change anything. Okay, would you change anything, Jake?
I mean, you could debate, like you said, one of those 6 through 10 maybe. And like you said, 10's the only one where Oregon, Penn State, Miami, and Missouri have all struggled. But no, I mean, there wouldn't be much change there.
Unless you want to penalize Miami for getting a win with some people they feel they shouldn't have gotten a win versus right. Virginia Tech. That'd be it. So Josh Pate has Ohio State 1, which right off the bat I have an issue. They haven't played anybody. They may be the best team in the country, but they haven't proved anything yet. You got to prove something. 2 is Georgia. I'm just letting that set out in the world. Georgia's number 2. Alabama, who beat them and led 28-0, 37 halftime, is number 3. Texas is 4. Oregon's 5. Tennessee 6. Miami 7. USC 8. Clemson 9. Penn State 10. Clemson, who lost by 31 points earlier this year, is 9. USC. I don't even see Michigan. Is Michigan not on here at all? He doesn't even have Michigan top 25.
Wow. That's a take.
There's no Michigan top. This is crazy.
Where's he have USC at?
8.
Huh.
Josh, you have, in my opinion, when it comes to national college football, and there's a lot of great shows out, you have the best national college football show in America, which is why I bring you up from time to time. But you have the worst rankings I have ever, and their ratings, again, it's who'd be favored on a neutral field if they played or played again in the case of Georgia, Alabama. I don't give a crap. This is awful. I can't stand Texas. I can't stand Alabama, but one of them should be 1 or 2. Flip a coin. I don't care who it is. You can put Ohio State 3. You can put Georgia at 3 if you want, because Georgia actually played somebody, even though they lost. And then Ohio State or Georgia, whoever you don't have at 3, put them at 4. Like, I'm even Oregon ahead of Tennessee. I can justify right now, which he has Oregon at 5, Tennessee at 6, because it's your opinion. Tennessee's looked 1,000 times better. I would personally have Tennessee ahead of him, just like the AP poll. I normally look at the AP poll and I can't stand it. With all due respect, this is the most asinine poll I've ever seen in my entire life. 1 is Ohio State, who's played nobody. Number 2 is Georgia, who lost to number 3 Alabama. Texas has an insanely impressive win on the road. Okay, because Michigan's a top 10 team, although according to this poll, they're not ranked at all. Like, I don't understand 1 through 4 at all. But I watched his release of this show, his release show of these ratings. And he made a big deal out of including a G5 team because he doesn't respect G5 teams. He has Boise State at 25, and that was a ginormous deal to Mr. Josh Pate. Again, I'm not bashing the show. I'm bashing the ratings. It's ridiculous. It's asinine, not asin 10, not asin 11, asin 9. But for me, I'm going to value, number 1, what you've done on the field, who you've beaten, your strength of schedule. Then it's your record. All right. And then I'm going to incorporate how athletic, how talented, how good I think you are as an overall whole as far as your potential in the future. That's how I'd look at it. I don't know what he's basing him off. Well, I do. I just don't agree with it because what happens on the field has to matter. I'm just saying, that's me. And I know Josh can't come on to defend himself. Of course he could. We can always extend an offer. He's a big deal, so he probably won't. And again, I say that with all due respect. Go check out his show. These ratings are some of the most, not asin 10, not asin 11, asin 9 things I've ever seen in my entire life. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Nebraska, Rutgers. Not a great weekend of college football, but that is one of the best matchups of the weekend, whether you're a Huskers fan or not. I've got Nebraska winning 24-20. Until next time, they're going to find a way to win that one-score game. They're going to find a way to win that one-score game. Until next time, go Big Red Noise. Remember to throw the bug.
Mulberry Barbecue by Single Barrel is the answer to all your lunch and dinner cravings. They have everything from smoked turkey sandwiches to brisket burritos to burnt-in sandwiches and pulled pork. Try a dinner plate option of barbecue nachos, a half-smoked chicken, a full slab of ribs, and so much more. Don't forget their great sides like mac and cheese, cheesy potatoes, barbecue beans, or red slaw. Mulberry Barbecue by Single Barrel, open Monday to Saturday from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. at 11th and Cornhusker Highway.
General Fire and Safety has been keeping Lincoln businesses and commercial structures safe for more than 50 years. From a simple fire extinguisher to full fire suppression systems, Lincoln has trusted General Fire and Safety to provide top-of-the-line products, installation, and maintenance. If you're starting a new business in a brand new building, call on General Fire and Safety to help you plan a fire safety system that fits the specific needs of your business, employees, and customers. Call General Fire and Safety today at 402-261-0116.
Program. Hope is only a conversation away when you choose to share your talent, time, and heart with a child. Together, you can build a relationship based on strengths and chart a brighter future, 1 week at a time. Find out how you can be a mentor by visiting LincolnTeammates.org. Become what you needed as a kid by joining the Teammates Mentoring Program today.